Welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. I am in our lovely Audi Q7 plug-in hybrid. This is our long-termer. We've already done a little update to show you what this car is and why we have it. Basically, this is the car that's going to help us film our amazing videos. And you can watch that video by clicking in the top right-hand corner. Today, though, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Because this is a plug-in hybrid, this car can run either on petrol or electric, or a combination of the two. And one of the most clever modes in the Q7 plug-in hybrid is an EV only mode. And that means it can run only on electric power. Now, according to Audi, it can go for as long as 29 or 27 miles, depending on which bit of the Audi website you want to read, which is a pretty impressive figure, really. So I got a bit of open road, got a bit of time to kill today. So let's go for a drive and see exactly how far this bad boy can go on electric power alone.
So for this test, I've filled the battery, reset the trip, and we'll be going on a journey consisting of stop-start traffic, sweeping B roads, and a few short 70-mile-an-hour sections. A bit of everything, although the exterior shots you'll see here are mainly from B roads.
I did some research, and according to the Office for National Statistics, the average commute for any person that drives to and from work is only 10 miles. So if you drive this car every day and it does what Audi say it can do, then in theory, then you could do like 3 days worth of commutes without having to recharge it. I'm a little bit skeptical about that. I don't think it will do that, or anywhere near that, quite frankly, but let's find out what it does do and work out if this is a realistic car to drive on electric power day to day. Right, so this car has two fuel level readings, one for the petrol and one for your battery. I've already lost a bar on the electric readout, but we're gonna keep going. I'm trying to be as smooth and as gentle as possible. I'll talk about the driving modes quickly, actually. So on the bottom left-hand corner of the lower screen, you have a drive select button. And if you cycle between these, you can choose between efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic, or individual. But there's also a very cheeky digital button just above that at the top of the lower screen marked EV. If you press that, it does a couple of things. One, it will either hold the electric power that's stored in the battery so you can use it later at your convenience. Maybe you want to creep up on your neighbors in complete silence, or just use it when you're specifically driving through a town center. Or you can just cause it to disregard petrol power entirely and run purely as an EV. That's what we're doing now, pure EV mode, and it's really nice actually. It's really quiet. Normally in big SUVs, you get the accompanying soundtrack of a big old diesel, which sounds horrible, quite frankly. It's rattly, it's nasty, loads of torque, which is good, but you still get the torque in this, but the bonus of complete silence, and it actually feels more luxurious. I've said this before, if you're driving a normal car day to day, doing chores, going to see your family, just normal day-to-day stuff, electric cars, I think, are nicer to drive than petrol or diesel. Okay, we're now down to halfway on the battery reading, and now is probably a good time for me to tell you a little bit about the different versions of the Q7 plug-in hybrid. There's a 55 and a 60. Both use a 3-litre V6 paired with a 94 kilowatt electric motor. The 55 makes 374 horsepower, while the 60 makes a pretty decent 449. The faster version will do 0 to 62 in 5.7 seconds, but even the 55, that's this one, is still pretty quick. It'll do 0 to 62 in 5.9 seconds, so it's as quick as any hot hatch. And believe me, when you're on it, this thing feels torquey, it feels quick. But we're not talking about performance today, even though performance is important. We're talking about efficiency, and efficiency in this car comes courtesy of the 17.3 kilowatt hour electric battery pack. Now, this is actually a pretty decent size, especially when you compare it to some early electric cars. Dedicated EVs back in the day, like the Nissan Leaf, had a total battery capacity of, what, 24 kilowatt hours? This thing has 17.3, so it's not far off. And I know that's a bigger and heavier car, but that in theory allows it to have a pretty decent electric only range. It's certainly bigger than a lot of the OG electric cars you had back in the day, like that terrible G-Wiz thing. Right, according to the trip computer, we are 12 miles in, and we still have about 50% of the range remaining. So that's pretty decent. We're on track for about, what, 24 miles. Maybe I might be able to eke out a little more, but so far, that's actually quite impressive. I should probably talk to you about how you actually fill this car up. You've got two options. So there are two fuel filler caps, believe it or not. The one on the right-hand side is for your petrol, not diesel, remember that. And the one on the left-hand side is for plugging into an electrical outlet. Now, there's no fast charge compatibility in the Q7 plug-in hybrid, so you have to plug it in overnight. And it takes quite a while to recharge, if I'm being honest. Somewhere in the region of 4 to 5 hours if you've got a dedicated charging station at home. But that's not too bad, because most people who use this car, they're gonna tend to charge it up overnight while they go to sleep, and in the morning they've got a full battery pack, and that will allow them to maximize the amount of range they get from the battery and the petrol motor. Right, we're up to 18 miles. Still got some life in there, so we're gonna keep going. The beauty though of a plug-in hybrid is that when I run out of battery power, this ain't gonna stop, it's gonna keep on going. So peace of mind, complete peace of mind in fact. There is no range anxiety in this car whatsoever. Right, let's talk about running costs. The amount this car will cost you to charge up at home depends on your electricity tariff. If you've got an economy 7 tariff, which basically lowers the amount you pay during off-peak hours at night time, then you might find yourself paying as little as 7 pence per kilowatt hour. Now, this battery in this car is a 17.3 kilowatt hour battery pack. So quick maths, 7 pence per kilowatt times 17.3 works out to be somewhere in the region of 121 pence to fully charge. Now, if this thing can actually go in the region of 30 miles, then paying £1.21 to go 30 miles is actually a pretty decent deal. Okay, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I'm not worried in the slightest if it runs out. I'm just really curious to see if it gets in the late 20s, which I'm starting to doubt. Here's an interesting point. Let's say that you've put some petrol in the Q7 and then you decide one day that you never, ever want to fill it up with petrol ever again. Is that possible? Well, not really, because petrol has a shelf life. Petrol will last around 6 months in your tank, after which it starts to go off and no longer works as efficiently or works at all. So every 6 months or so, you're gonna want to fill this thing up with some new petrol. You're gonna wanna burn off what's in there and then top it up. But if you want to run this thing as an electric car for the majority of the time, it's actually quite feasible. I feel like this is kind of it now. Battery level is super low. Yeah, look, there you go, look. Electric only mode now unavailable, and we've done 22, just over 22 miles. We haven't stopped, petrol's kicked in to save the day. Well, that's more than I expected, actually. I know it's less than Audi claim, 27, 29 miles, whatever it might be that they claim, but actually to get over 22 miles of driving is actually really impressive. That means if you're an average driver with a 10-mile commute, round trip, that this car in EV mode is perfectly good enough for you to drive only on EV mode. And the beauty is you don't have to worry when you're going further. If you're going on a long trip to go and see your nan up in Scotland, it can do it as well. Pretty impressive. Experiment complete. If you want to see more about this car, stay tuned, because we're going to have more videos. And as always, thanks for watching. If you found it interesting, drop a like, a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. See you soon.